My name is Dr. Fred Ogola. I'm a senior lecturer, strategy decision making, Stanford Business School. I'm also a director at TBS. Today we want to talk about this week on the supremacy of processes, which is one of the 10 lessons from 1,000 strategic plan in the book we just published called Strategic Thinking. So what has happened this week? This week the cost of loans have gone up by 12.2%, and this is because of the fact that in January 2020 the cost of deposits also has gone up and increased following the competition of funds between lenders and also the government. The other thing which has happened, we have seen that the fraudsters' threats in the banking sector has doubled, a rise in the country because of cyber attacks. That is another thing happening, like Stanchart has reported that. Then the number of Kenyans in need of food aid has also gone to reach 4.1 million as rains fail. The other thing we see is that President Uhuru Kenyatta has started pushing the projects he wants to do to be done post-August because of the fact that his government is ending in less than 2 months. Treasury has also gone into what is called indefinite recess, waiting that only after the election that they can be able to make any decision. So the president is also about to sign the finance bill that is going to look for how we can actually manage to deal with the budget deficit, which is coming from the 3.3 trillion budget, which was read in Parliament. The Kenya shilling is at its all-time low because now the rate for Kenya shillings to the dollar is now moving very slowly. In fact, the dollar is now changing at $1 for 117 Kenya shillings. And of course, we see a very interesting here that CBK has said they are not going to change their exchange rate policy because they believe the Kenyan economy is resilient even amid this inflation, the fuel crisis, food prices going up, inflation, and all this Ukraine and all these things, because they say Kenya is a resilient economy, so they are going to leave a policy called free-floating exchange rate as a way to do things because of the resilience of Kenya shillings. The global fuel prices has been going up continuously. For example, in January 2021, it was at 54. In January 2022, it was at 87, and now it is $120 per barrel. If you leave that also, we realize that inflation has really gone up because of the fact, actually, if you look at why actually we are having these challenges in the economy, we expect that the dollar has gone down because of the fact of inflation. It's going into servicing exportation of food to actually reduce this inflation. Foreign direct investment is not coming, so that's affecting the dollar. Secondly, the debt repayments by Kenya to the foreign creditors also has affected the dollar. Also, we are seeing the repatriation of funds through dividends by banks and telcos going back to their own home countries is affecting us. And also at the Nairobi Stock Exchange, we are seeing that foreign companies are selling off their shares, and this has actually led to affecting how much dollar remains in the country. So, because of all these things, what do the company needs to do at this time? I think the government need to reduce imports to the country and non-essentials. At the same time, we should also look for how to export more dollar-earning products and services that can actually be able to cushion our economy. With all this said also, we are seeing something very interesting that KRA is expected to exceed their target of tax collected by 140 billion. And lastly, Koreche industry is having a challenge regarding taxes with KRA again. So that means that when you look at all this happening in this country, what we need to learn this week is about the supremacy of processes. For example, KRA has exceeded their target by having clear targeting of processes. When does the financial year begin and when do they begin collection? That's what the Commissioner General has gotten right. If you see, for example, in government, Treasury is getting it right in terms of processes now on how to transition from the the outgoing government to the next government. You could see CBK also have serious process on how to manage the inflation by sticking to their exchange rate policy of free floating. But because I want to give a focus into the lower end of the economy, if we call the SME or corporate, my focus will shift to you as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as a CEO, which is running a company that's moved from a startup to a corporate. The running point here being Keroche Industry. We can see that Keroche Industry CEO is among the most admired entrepreneurs we have in this country. But nevertheless, Keroche Industry is having a challenge. No one should celebrate it. No government should celebrate it. No corporate leader should celebrate it. No academic like me should celebrate it. So what can we learn from the case of Keroche Industry? What I look here is that Keroche is not doing anything wrong by having these challenges with KRA. Neither is KRA doing anything wrong by having the challenges they have in Keroche Industry. What happened is that Tabitha Karanja built this company, but there was something missed, and that is process. So let me just take you through the 7-step process of building a business that if you follow strictly, you will never ever have a challenge if you ever reach to become a big corporate like Keroche Industries. The first step when you begin a business is also called concept and startup. The most important thing in that stage is that the founder or the owner focuses on how to make sales, to make the company break even and the rest. And you are just working as a salesperson. The second stage is survival. Can you survive the sweetness of talking about I'm new entrepreneurs, I've set up cash flow challenges, managing how to make the customers happy, retain them and keep them happy? That is the next step, which is called survival stage. The third stage is called subsistence. Subsistence stage is where now you break even, meaning that your bills and your invoices are equal to your revenue at least. You don't have to borrow from outside or get money from your pocket or get money from a friend to generate, let's say, working capital. That one you have survived. You still must be a very good salesperson to keep that going. The fourth stage of the business is that you must have stability, meaning that now you begin to work on your operations. And this is where now Tabitha Karanja could have missed the point. You must be very good and build an operation, remembering that when you meet your first customers, you give them value proposition. But value proposition can be executed consistently only through processes. How you deal with regulators, how you deal with the tax man, how you deal with all suppliers. If you focus on the supremacy of processes at this stage, which are called stage 4, you will ensure all the tax processes are in place. And that's when government come to audit you, they'll find that you can account for every revenue you have and how you pay your taxes, the assets you own, and everything else you are doing in business, and therefore you cannot be having what Tabitha Karanja is facing. The fifth stage is success. Here you grow strongly, you produce, you supervise by walking around to ensure that everybody in the organization you set up, operation department, tax department, audit department, all these bodies in the organization are doing the right thing, just to be sure that you cannot have challenges anytime somebody wants to audit you, KRA wants to visit you, for example, Anti-Corruption Commission want to see you, and that is the fifth stage of the business. The sixth stage of the business, we talk about significance. At significance level, your work is that you lead through others, meaning that you lead through your CFO, Chief Financial Officer, you lead through Chief Operations Officer, you lead through your Chief Commercial Officer, you lead through different companies, let's say Fulcrum. That is the significance stage. And the last stage, we call it succession. Succession now, remember in stage 6, you lead through our others. At stage 7, giving vision only, others are leading. Your work is that you become a myth in the company. Some companies have reached this level. For example, NIC, Ndegwa reached this level. We could see, for example, in Equity Bank, James Mwangi is still not there. After so many years of banking, he still has to lead through others. At the moment, he's still leading. So, Tabitha Karanja with Keroche Industries have nothing wrong, but the processes were not well implanted, and that's what is causing her hemorrhage. If you are to start a business now, no matter which stage you are, please see proper to see the importance of supremacy of processes, which is a key lesson learned in the 10 lessons from 1,000 strategic plans, which is available in the book called Strategic Thinking.